I still love my husband. That's the worst part of this whole thing. Because if I didn't, maybe this would hurt less. We've been married for 7 years. And somewhere along the way, maybe between bills and routines and late night, I'm tired as the spark faded. It didn't crash and burn. It just dimmed. Like a candle that forgets how to glow. I noticed it first. He stopped flirting. I stopped trying. Sex became rare, then mechanical, then non-existent. We still laughed sometimes. Still shared space. But I felt like I was living with a polite roommate, not the man I used to sneak glances at across the kitchen. I brought up counseling. He brushed it off. We're fine. Just a phase. But I didn't feel fine. I was scared, terrified that we'd become those couples who sit at restaurants in silence. Who forget how to be lovers because they're too good at just being stable. So I made a mistake. I thought I was being bold. Evolved. Brave. I said, what if we opened the marriage? Just to explore. Reconnect through freedom. Maybe that'll help us find our way back. He blinked at me. For a long time. Then he said, "You're serious?" I nodded, convincing myself I was. We agreed to talk through the details, rules, boundaries, transparency. We were calm. Mature. Logical. At least that's what I told myself. But deep down, I never expected him to actually find someone. Not first. Not so fast. I thought I was prepared for what we agreed to. I thought we'd go on a few awkward coffee dates, laugh about them, come home to each other with funny stories and a renewed sense of appreciation. Instead, while I was scrolling dating apps full of shirtless mirror selfies and dry conversations, he met someone. Her name was Nia. I found out one evening when I noticed he was humming in the bathroom while shaving, something he hadn't done in years. When I asked if he had plans, he said, just grabbing a drink. Casual. Offhand. But he came back hours later smelling like cologne he hadn't worn since our honeymoon. He smiled differently. Walked lighter. His phone buzzed at midnight, and he smiled at it, not the screen, at it. Eventually, I asked. He told me the truth. Nia was someone he met at the gym. Nia was easy to talk to. Nia was just refreshing. That word hit harder than he knew. I didn't tell him that while he was making dinner plans and laughing in gyms, I was sitting across from strangers asking me what my favorite movie was, like I hadn't spent 7 years building a life with someone. I didn't tell him I deleted the dating app twice. That I cried in the bathroom after my third failed date because it made me feel more alone than just being alone. And I definitely didn't tell him that I started regretting everything. Every bold sentence. Every "this could help us" speech. Every moment I convinced myself that this idea would save us. One night, as he got dressed, nice shirt, cologne, a slight smile, I sat on the edge of our bed and asked quietly, "Can we slow down? Maybe try counseling now?" He didn't get angry. That almost made it worse. He just looked at me the way someone looks at a photograph they used to love and said, "You were the one who opened this door." And then he left. To see her. While I sat there alone. On the bed we used to call ours. It's strange how quickly a house can stop feeling like a home. Same walls. Same furniture. Same dinner plates. But everything felt foreign. He didn't become cruel. That's the thing. He was still polite. Still asked if I needed anything when he ran errands. Still sat beside me on the couch sometimes. Still laughed, just not with me anymore. He had changed. He was lighter. More present, but not with me. He started working out again. Updating his wardrobe. His texts used to be boring reminders and memes, now they came in rapid bursts with emojis and soft grins he tried to hide. And he no longer hid his phone. At all. It would light up next to him during dinner, and he wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't glance at me like he was caught. Because in his mind, he wasn't doing anything wrong. And technically, he wasn't. I had opened the door. But I didn't think he'd walk through it and build a new life inside while I stood in the hallway, waiting. I tried dating too. Met up with 3 men. One was obsessed with crypto. One only talked about his ex. The third one was kind, but when he held my hand, I felt cold. Like I was betraying someone. Like I was reaching out for a substitute when all I really wanted was my husband. Because that's the cruelest part. I didn't want anyone else. Not a fling. Not a replacement. Just him. I watched him fall in love with someone else while still technically being mine. One night, I finally told him. I don't think I can do this anymore, I said. My voice cracked. I could barely meet his eyes. I made a mistake. I thought this would help us. I thought we'd grow closer somehow, but I was wrong. I want to go back. Please. He looked at me for a long time. Longer than usual. Then he exhaled and said it gently like it was just a fact, not a dagger. I'm finally happy. And I don't want to go back to pretending. He left the room after that. I sat there staring at nothing, realizing I wasn't his wife anymore. Not in the way that mattered. At some point, I stopped blaming him. And started blaming me. I had taken something sacred, something we promised to guard together, and treated it like a dying plant I could fix by throwing it outside and hoping the sun would do the work. It was never about wanting someone else. It was never about being bored. It was fear. Panic. The desperate need to feel something before everything went numb forever. But that gamble cost me everything. Our friends didn't know what to say. The few who did know about the open marriage either tiptoed around the subject or took sides. She's the one who opened the door, one said. He didn't have to walk through it so completely, another muttered. But none of it mattered. Because I wasn't trying to win an argument. I was trying to get back something I had already shattered. I tried everything. Cooked his favorite meals. Planned impromptu date nights. Left notes on the mirror the way I used to. I even started therapy alone, trying to understand why I risked something I loved for a fantasy that didn't even tempt me. And the more I reached out, the more he slipped away. The kindness remained, at least for a while. He still asked how my day was. Still helped with groceries. Still made small talk. But the love? That part of him had moved. I knew the night he didn't come home until after midnight and didn't bother making up an excuse. I asked if he had fun. He said, yeah. Nia made dinner. Nia made dinner. 3 words, and I felt like I'd been erased. From then on, it became normal, him spending nights there. Me waking up alone. The silence of our shared bed became deafening. I stopped asking questions I didn't want to hear answers to. Then one night, I came home late from a long walk. I'd spent the last hour sitting on a park bench, just staring at the couples who passed by like they hadn't made any wrong turns. When I stepped inside, everything looked the same, but something felt off. And then I saw it. The small dish on the entry table where he always left his keys and ring when he got home was empty. No keys. No ring. Just space. Space where something sacred used to be. I asked him one last time. We were sitting at the kitchen table. 2 cups of tea between us. Mine had gone cold. His had barely been touched. The silence stretched so long I thought I might break before the words did. But I finally said it. Can we close the marriage? He didn't respond right away. Just stared at the table like the answer might be hiding in the steam of his untouched mug. Then he looked up at me, eyes soft, not cruel, not angry, just tired. Honest. You opened it because you were afraid of losing me, he said quietly. But this version of me? You don't own anymore. I felt something unravel in me. Slowly. Like thread pulled from the hem of a dress, quiet, painful, inevitable. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. I wanted to time travel to the version of me that thought this would save us and shake her until she snapped out of it. But I didn't. Because I realized something right then. He wasn't mine anymore. Not because of Nia. Not even because of the open marriage. But because I had forced a door open out of fear and he had walked through it into a life that no longer included me. We still live in the same house for now. We still split groceries, still talk about bills, still share polite goodnights. But the marriage? It's not real anymore. It's still open technically. But emotionally? I'm the only one standing in the doorway. Watching someone I love walk away from a house we built while I wait in a hallway that no longer leads anywhere. Some doors, once opened, don't lead back home.